Tony and I got married at an early age, and back then, we didn't have much. But from the very beginning, Tony was determined to create a better future for our family. Shortly after we were married, Tony joined the Army, and we moved to our first duty station at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Those weren't always easy years, but they taught us the importance of sacrifice, faith, and commitment. What I've always admired about my husband is that he's the same person at home that people see in the public. He's honest, he's humble, and he genuinely cares about people. He's a devoted husband, a loving father, and a proud grandfather. Tony and I have been together for 43 years, and I've been blessed to stand beside him through every chapter of our lives. I'm Annette Umpinko Ada, and I humbly ask for your support and vote for my husband, Tony Ada, for Governor of Guam.
I'm Tony Ada, and I approve this message. Together, we'll put Guam first.
It's a brand new week, and you know what that means for me, and I know for many of you, is it's a chance for renewal, right? And it's especially important for me personally in a time like this when so much angst builds up across the community. There are people within camps who are doing things out of, a sense of desperation or anxiety or whatever it is because they want to win, and they want to win for a bunch of different reasons. I'm talking about the election being just a week away and the sorts of things that it causes people to do. And and the reason I'm able to speak with this with any sort of authority is because I used to be on that side of things. I used to have this type of anxiety or this angst or this desire for my team to win, to remain in power, or to achieve power. And so, none of these things are good things, right? Like it's just not, but you don't know it at the time, or at least you don't, maybe you know it, but you brush it off, or you've become hardened to, the truth of life and what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And so Sunday is a chance for me, and it's a chance for you, and it's a chance for all of those people to renew their commitment to what is good, what is right. Because I can tell you, like, I get tempted all the time on Sunday and beyond, and as the days go on, the temptations increase until Sunday comes again, and I'm refreshed, right? But the temptation comes to when bad things are said to, I mean, I've got a tongue on me, I'll say something. I'll say something horrible back to a person, and thankfully, that hasn't happened that much, and it's actually more of an exception than a rule with me these days, and that has nothing to do with me. Maybe a little bit of trying and self-discipline, but mostly has to do with the grace of God, and that everything has to do with. It starts with going to Mass on Sunday, and so I invite you to go to Mass today and to renew yourself this week on this first day of the week, because the election is coming up. The election is on August 1. That's next week, or this week. It's the end of this week is the election. And of course, the exciting race is the race for governor. I'm sure that's the one that everybody's watching. Oh, shoot. I think we're having internet issues. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we'll just keep on. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the issues that are important to me. And maybe some of those issues will be important to you, and what might be issues that are important to you as the election comes up. I also want to bring you some footage from the Guam Education Board meeting where there's a discussion about whether schools will be open. So apparently schools are opening in like 16 days or so, like 2 weeks from now, or a little more than 2 weeks from now. And board member Maria Gutierrez brought up a report by the superintendent, or by the management team, talking about school readiness, and she's concerned. And I wonder whether any information is going to come out from GDOE about whether anyone needs to make alternative plans in case schools or some schools are not able to open on time. We'll get to that. I wanted to also bring to you footage from session to discuss more about how senators have been scrutinizing the administration's request for more money, but I don't think I'm going to have time to bring that to you. So we'll start first with election talk on the other side of the commercial break. Stick with us.
Good Morning Show with Troy Torres is brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Leadership isn't measured by campaign promises. It's measured by a lifetime of keeping them. For years, Tony Atta has delivered results for the people of Guam. He authored Guam's Castle Doctrine, strengthening the rights of law-abiding citizens to protect themselves and their families. He passed laws protecting consumers, strengthened opportunities to bring more doctors and healthcare professionals to Guam, fought for small local businesses, and worked to make government serve the people, not the other way around. His record isn't built on speeches. It's built on action, on integrity, on keeping his word. That's what put Guam first means, putting our island first.
As your governor, I will lead with integrity, and every decision I make will put Guam first. I'm Tony Atta, and I humbly ask for your vote. I'm Tony Atta, and I approve this message.
I'm going to get myself a Big Bacon Classic over at Wendy's. Welcome back to the show. It's 8:32 a.m. on Sunday, July 26, 2026. More than half the year is gone, right? Or is it, when does the half start? The half starts after June 30th, right? Yeah, more than half the year is gone. And the election is just 6 days away. August 1 is the election. There are 5 candidates for governor. On August 1, you will anyone can go and vote as long as you are a registered voter. You will receive one of either 2 ballots. You can it's your choice. You can receive a Democratic Party ballot, or you can receive a Republican Party ballot. If you're going to vote on the Republican side, you have 2 choices. Frank Blas Jr., the Speaker of the Legislature, with his running mate, Mary Okada, the former longtime president of Guam Community College, and their opponents, Tony Atta, the Vice Speaker of the Legislature, and his running mate, E.J. Calvo, who is a businessman. If you ask for the Democratic ballot, you have 3 choices. You can choose either Josh Tenorio, who is the Lieutenant Governor, with his running mate, Tina Muñoz Barnes, who is a senator and former speaker. Or you can choose Joe San Augustine, who is a senator, with his running mate, Dwayne San Nicolas, who is a businessman and a former senator. Or you can choose Therese Terlahi, who was a senator and former speaker, and her running mate, Sabina Perez, who is a senator and a former teacher and environmental scientist. And so those are the options that you have, right? Those are the options that we all have. I'm excited to go and vote. And let me tell you why. There are several issues that are important in our island. And I know that there are the common issues, or the issues that commonly bring our voices together in between elections. And and there's a whole range of emotions and behaviors that go along with these issues, and they range from anything from satisfaction with services all the way to disgust. And first and foremost is corruption. That's just a big deal, and no one party owns it. It's in both parties, you know. Corruption erodes public trust and confidence, not just in leadership, but in institutions, in the institution of the government, and it's not just among our own people and whether we can trust our government, but you know, we are an open economy, meaning the money that comes in to Guam quickly goes out because more than 90% of everything that we consume is something that comes into the island, meaning what we pay for that goes out to wherever that stuff came from. So the money that comes into Guam very quickly leaves Guam in this open economy, right? And in order for us to have any type of economic success, there has to be a constant inflow of cash. That's why tourism was such a big deal. That's why what's sustaining the economy right now is military spending, because there's a lot of it. And not a lot of tourism. That's good. Not a lot. Our chief export was tourism, and that's not really happening right now. And so it's ever more important for an institution like, and it's not like an institution on its own. I'm talking about like a group of people who are not together or anything like that, but just a grouping, right? Outside investors. It's really important for outside investors to be able to trust that if they do make the choice to come to Guam, they'll be able to get business licenses without having to hire consultants, so that they can get political favors from the powers who are, that they can get the proper permits that they need, that they're able to do business, that if there's an incentive program that by their merit and on the merit they would qualify for, that they would be able to participate in those incentive programs without having to go to someone's political fundraiser or having to kiss somebody's ring. Our economy is very much connected to the issue of corruption. It's just such a big deal, right? And we understand as voters and as objective and reasonable people that our government, our leaders, have a very big problem with corruption. And whether if they're not involved in the corruption, then they're not doing anything or enough to address the corruption and to deal with it. These are very big issues. That's a very big issue. The next issue that I think people are very much concerned about is the cost of living, and the ability to have something above a substandard quality of life, because substandard in comparison to the rest of the country, in comparison to what we're used to, in comparison to what life was like in 2019, the standard of living for I would venture to say the standard of living for the average Guamanian has gone down, and has gone down to a level where we are not happy, we are not joyful, we are more anxious, more stressed about tomorrow than ever before. And a lot of what's driving this is costs, and some of these things are beyond our control, but some of these things have been within our control for quite some time. And we see government not doing enough about it. Things like affordable housing, addressing the issues between overseas housing allowances versus base housing allowances that have the military influx into Guam, causing these anomalies in the prices of homes and of rents and things like that. The cost of food, the cost of utilities, absolutely something that the local government has for many years been able to do something about with regard to onboarding solar panel farms, and whether the government of Guam has done enough to support GPA in that regard. The cost of living is probably is right up there with corruption. Those are probably like the two biggest things, right? And then there are other common issues that we all itch about. The meth issues, right? The issues with substance abuse, mental health, increasing mental health issues, providing for the elderly and for people with living with disabilities. These are issues, and for veterans who suffer from PTSD or who struggle because the government has not done for them what they have done for this country. And these are people in our families. These are people who are among us and friends. I am a recovering drug addict, so this is me too. So there's that. And of course, what the meth issue has done in terms of crime, and crime, of course, crime will always be an issue, and there will be spikes, right? Like you saw the recent 4 guys who were arrested on allegations of the murder of an old man in Jigo, in the Takano subdivision. What a sad thing. I'm so sorry about the internet issues. I'm gonna call. I'm actually I'm gonna cancel this subscription. Actually, I've about had it with this. And anyway, so I apologize for the intermittent services. There's nothing I can do about it right now. But we did get we got the keys to our studio, and we'll be moving in there very shortly. So anyway, so there's the meth issue, there's crime, of course, cost of living, corruption, the trash around the island, the abandoned vehicles around the island, the lack of any type of emphasis on public education, the music and the arts. I mean, you just consider the things that normal people want and desire and remember having before. And these are the issues that kind of bring us together and call us to have this common cause when we go to the election. And I hope you go and you vote this coming Saturday. But there are issues for me, right? I want to vote for someone who goes beyond those issues. Yes, the basics are important. Those are the fundamental stuff, right? Someone who is competent and honest about being able to and wanting to deliver on those things without there being underlying factors or ulterior motives, as in profiting off the government or engaging in cronyism and stuff like that, right? But more than that, I think for me, I want a governor who is going to address things and use the bully pulpit and use his or her position as a leader to drive a renewal of culture. And I'm not simply talking about the Chamorro culture. I'm talking about raising a new generation of Guamanians who again have respect for each other, for their elders, who again have a sense of citizenship, good citizenship, community, doing things not for themselves, but for the betterment of all, which would include not hurting other people. A new generation that is unlike this generation and values the land and doesn't litter and doesn't abuse resources or waste. Raising a new generation that is concerned about the law and respectful of the law, and that does away with these bad habits that we've been raised with. And let's be honest with ourselves about our upbringings and the sorts of things. I mean, while our parents might have taught us some good things, our parents also taught us some bad things that they thought were good. And it's precisely why, so many issues have propped up. And precisely why we look at each other and we're like, how can some people do this to other people? Or how could my relative do this to me? Or how could my friend do this to me? Or even looking at yourself, how could I have done that to this person who I love, or this stranger, or this neighbor of mine? And it all comes back to how we were raised, what it is we learned to value, our distortions about what was right versus what was wrong. I think these are the important issues and that the next governor would need to deal with, because we're at an inflection point where if we don't solve these things now, we're going to be a lost cause and a lost society. On the other side of the commercial break, I'm very sorry about the internet issues. On the other side of the commercial break, I want to bring you footage from the Guam Education Board's meeting. I think it was Thursday, where Maria Gutierrez, Education Board member, she where am I here? She raised the issue of whether schools are ready. I think it's a very important discussion that we should be paying attention to, because the opening of school is just a little over 2 weeks away. Stick with us. I had that pizza yesterday. It was so good. And what I was upset about was because I'm on a diet. I've been doing relatively well. I lost 10 pounds in 10 days. I'm on a diet, so I could only eat one. I cheated a little bit. I told myself I could only eat one slice, and that was torture. So I cheated, and I ate half a slice more, but I wanted to eat the whole darn box. Anyway, I don't have much time, so what I want to bring you now is footage from the Guam Education Board from the 24th, which was, well, I guess that was Friday. Maria Gutierrez, she probes DOE management about whether they're actually ready for the opening of school in a couple of weeks. Here it is. Oh, wait, sorry. I always screw this part up. Here we go.
If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. Are there any questions? It's a very comprehensive report. Yes, Ms. Gutierrez.
A2, page 5.
Which one, the 14 points? Which one, this one? The A2.
A2, page 5, school readiness status and progress tracker for school year 2026-2027. Number of schools ready to open as of June 10, 2026, no school. 17, no school. June 24th, no school. July 1st, no school. July 8th, no school. July 15th, no school. Percentage of schools ready to open. June 10, 2026, 0%, 0%, 0%, all the way to July 15. I'm very confused. Master schedule, and I know that the Vice Chair and I have been asking for master schedule. I see here, as of July 15, 2026, 25% to 50% completed. One in parentheses, a middle school. And the bottom, blank, one school. It's an elementary school. Please look at this and respond back to me, because I can take you guys all the way to 8 o'clock tonight if I want to go page by page. I think this report is very confusing for me because I look at everything. I want to make sure that we're ready. But when you give me here that it says, and by the way, we're down to minus 136 students. We are decreasing. Enrollment is decreasing. Enrollment is decreasing. You know where they're going? They go charter school. So please, I am not satisfied with this, because it is not, to me, when you say, here you're saying we're all ready, but then here this document that is given to the board, you know, I'm not comprehending it.
Thank you.
Mrs. G, though, if you look at the completion status, what was written on July 15th, so that's the last report. So we're now July 24th. They're constantly on a weekly basis always changing these numbers. So more and more then of the school principals have indicated that they've turned in the master schedules, that they have also are able to get out the student schedule. There is a delay, and that was relayed to us by FSAIS. Franklin, maybe you should explain that better than I about FAS, that they were not able to we didn't, you had to shut it down first
Yes.
of all during the typhoon, and then where we're at today.
Yes. So, unfortunately, during the typhoon or just prior to the typhoon, we had to shut down our entire computer systems to protect them. We have a procurement in process to replace the switches, the network hardware, if you will. Some of our switches are 15 years old. And in the lifespan of electronic equipment, 15 years old is obsolete. So they're not even manufacturing those switches anymore. So we have cannibalized as far as we can cannibalize. We can no longer cannibalize anymore. So what we have in the system to provide Wi-Fi and connectivity to all the wings and all the schools is all we're going to have until the new procurement is finalized. So we have to protect that system. When there's power surging and everything, we have to shut down. But there are consequences. When you shut it down, then they don't have access to the power school, they don't have access to the munis, they don't have access to the software programs that they need that they would do day to day. And so it's a choice. Some people ask me to turn it back on, but if we turn it back on, then power fluctuates. That school that gets hit will not have internet connectivity for 3 months, 6 months. The risk is too high. So that caused a delay when we had to shut the systems down when the typhoon came unexpectedly, but we had to protect the hardware. And so now that we have come back up, the systems are up, there was no damage, and that was because we took the precautionary measure of shutting down. Unfortunately, there are domino effects, and that's what the superintendent's talking about now. They couldn't get into the system to finish some of their master scheduling and things like that. Teacher recruiting, scheduling, and all of that was on that system. Actually, food and nutrition was affected as well, because that weekend, when we had to shut down, they were going to issue food cards to the students for meal cards for them, and they didn't get access to the system. Now, luckily, there was a workaround on that. Somebody had printed off a hard copy of the report, so they were able to issue from hard copy. But there was lots of consequences, unfortunately, but the system brought down strategically, and it came back up 100%. So we are getting our momentum back, but there were delays.
So, Mr. Leon Guerrero, if that was the case, this was put in our drive, the document for the board. You guys could have said, this is subject to change, or explain, because I wasted my time reading every single one of this, and now you're explaining this. The public needs to know. I was gonna share this when a stakeholder was asking me, can I see how can I get the documents? I was to give this document. It's confusing because it's telling this, that as of July 15, today is July 24. It's confusing for them. So please, Superintendent, don't put anything in the drive if it's not accurate. I am very meticulous. I read everything.
Yes, Mr. G. I'm sorry.
And that's why I'm saying, because when I look at that, I want to be able to August 10, we're already. Kids are not going to be in the cafeteria. There will be all teachers. Teachers will be in the classroom. School is going to be out there providing supervision. I am going to volunteer to a school for a cafeteria watch, because I know there's not enough. And that's my next question is, did all the teachers that applied at the job fair have been processed? And are they ready to come to the first teacher work day for them to report to their school site? Because the last time I heard, just like getting the library technician, they're waiting for a signature before they send another list for Finnegan to interview. To me, that I tried to work with all of you, but I'm sorry, because when it comes to like this, I get a call. Mr. G, do you know what's going on? I said, I haven't been going out. But this thing now is, are the teachers specialist teachers? There are schools near that need specialist teachers. We don't want a lawsuit for not providing specialist teachers to the students with special needs. What are we doing? What is the process? If they have to work, I know they may not, your HR may not work overtime because they're not allowed for overtime, but my goodness, 17 more days. 17 more days to school open. We need to be ready. That's why we're losing in students, because a lot of parents are confused. They're still waiting. Orientation, some schools say no orientation. When is that orientation going to happen? I'm just, if you guys don't want to hear it from me, but I have to, because I have people that are out there calling me. I thought I could just, ride my my time out, but no, they're calling me. Do you know anything? We don't. But and that's why don't put something in, because when I get it, I read it line by line. Line by line.
Ms.
Thank you.
Gutierrez, thank you. Let's ask the superintendent for an update, if she has an update.
Well, in my conversation with Jackie as well, and maybe Jackie, if you want to chime in, but I know that she speaks to the principals almost on a daily basis and messaging them and asking them to update the information. I asked her also in the form that we listed for you in terms of how many schools are ready, and some of them are saying it's unknown. And the response, of course, to that, you know, are things like, you know, Jackie, do you want to?
Thank you, Superintendent and honorable members of the Guam Education Board. In working with the principals entirely for our GDOE and listening to them, as well as what are their issues, in completing the district readiness report. And by the way, this report is done weekly. And on a weekly basis, I monitor it, and I also work with someone in our office that puts the data together to be able to really...
All right, so I don't think any of them were able to answer any of Mrs. Gutierrez's questions with any type of direct answer or detail. They just were talking about what it is their efforts were, which, you know, I hope that I hope that school's already on time. I do, and I'll just leave it at that because it's a Sunday and I don't need to say anything more than that. But I think you guys know what it is that I want to say. Anyway, for Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. I want to thank you so much for joining me for this Sunday news analysis, despite the data issues that are really upsetting me. Tonight we'll have the Troy Torres Show, and as part of our ongoing election week coverage, we're going to have one of two things. It's either going to be the interview of Blas Okada or the interview of Charlie Hermosa. Now, I'll let you know which one it's going to be. See, the second interview I ever did for a governor candidate was for Charlie Hermosa, and that's when he was the first to announce on the Republican side that he was running for governor. And I interviewed him, and it was a groundbreaking interview because he was the person who revealed to the public sphere that there was this federal investigation into Adelup regarding PUA. And so I'm going to talk to Charlie today, and I'm going to see whether this is whether we should play that interview, because I think that his perspective is different and is important. So it's either going to be the Hermosa interview or it's going to be the Blas Okada interview that we run tonight. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. Have a great morning. I hope you all go to Mass. Good morning, and God bless you all.
We delivered. Guam AutoSpot is extending our overstock sell-off with the hottest deals on island, like our 2025 GMC Canyon with $4,000 off. Or slide into a brand new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, starting at just $24,995. September is your chance to drive big and save even bigger. Visit us today or get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO. Guam AutoSpot, where the savings never stop.
This stuff's hitting the spot.